Okay, Michael here, Wickerson Studios. Going to really make this easy on everybody. Basically, just going in, making it 5 by 5 grid, grafting the Y, and playing with the radii. As I shrink the radii, excuse me, as I shrink the radii, you'll see that there's other spheres underneath. I'm just shrinking the radii that I'm not using anymore. So you can see like this data being generated. Obviously, just a sphere from radius. Every ball's in there. And you say, well, what's this ball floating here? Well, let's go down here and see what happens. So every ball is still selected. They're just hidden under these gray balls. So this is the way I'm going to kind of teach it. I'm going to find the middle ball. Obviously that. I've got a center box on there we don't need. I was using that earlier, but you can see there's a center box there if I need to get at it, but I'm not worried. So I take that data, and immediately I can go in and I can grab what are called sites, which are really nice. They're everything within the tree, excluding the elements at the end of the branches. So you really can follow things back to those sites and site branches. And what I've done is I found the middle one. I basically said site from index. Let's grab this one, which happens to be in the second row. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, and the second one in 1, 0, 1, 2. So you get that center sphere. And that sphere is going to basically be indicated by this path and that in this item at the end of the list. So you start to make sense. I'm going to call this by that site, the big tree by that site, and I'm going to replace that with this, which is this sphere. So that's all I've done is I've taken that sphere out and I've replaced it with this one that I'm playing with. Really nice use of that, and there you go. I make those ones bigger. You can see that, well, when I shrink them, they go down to the next size spheres that are smaller. So let's just say that those are all of them. I replaced it. Actually, it's actually all the way through, except we've lost the count of this one as well, which is interesting because that site, that one is replacing this site, which is this site. Okay, and everything else should be in there. I'm wondering why this sphere, why this tree of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh boy, that's going to bother me a little bit as I go into here and take a look at that sphere that's in here. Very strange. They're all there. There they are coming out. And they should be the whole things because I only replaced this one. So what happened to, let's see what happened. I replaced that one with this point, but possibly not replacing. I've got 24 items here. I've got 24 items here. That's fine. Very interesting. Let me think about this item. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Well, this is the one, this is the item 13 that actually from that site is the one, because this one's already been called out, this is the next one in the list. So this sphere has replaced that one. Very nice to think about. So this sphere has actually replaced another one, and that leaves us with still 24, which count 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And that's how you get your 24 right there. Very interesting. So you've got to follow your data and see what you've done. So you've actually called out one and replaced the other. Now, we didn't have to call out that one before. We could bypass this and we could put a little relay on here, and I think this will fix it. But these are the type of exercises you want to do if you want to get a hold of this. Let's relay this one, and let's grab all of this and put it back in here. And there you go. I bypassed this one. This one's doing nothing now because I haven't called it out. And there you go. Now you've replaced the one instead of calling out the other, which is what I wanted to do to start. So that's a nice way to think about it. And you can replace any one unit or any more units, whatever you want to do. You just have to find the sites that you want to replace, which is the path 002 and item 2. I want to replace it with a new item. This one, call by sites, I'm going to leave it in here red, but we're not actually using it, and that makes total sense over what we're doing. And there it is. So let's shrink this one down till it's gone. Let's go continue along here. This point itself, I wanted to come in and replace that item, which is what I did from the sphere. So as I go into here and I start to enlarge this, you can see that I've replaced everything, but I have offset, site from offset. I've actually taken the paths 001, 001, 001, but on the items 0, 2, and 4, because I have control over those, I can get rid of 3 if I want, I can get rid of 1 if I want, I can get rid of 1 this way if I want, and then this is the actual path. So we could start at 0 and take out 0, 2, 4. We could go down the next branch, go down the next branch offsets, the next branch, because you're basically offsetting the data to see how far you want to go. Pretty interesting to think of that as an offset. You could do another offset after that. So I'm going to set that one at 2. Actually, not to confuse things, I'm going to set it here as 1. Maybe to make it very simple, set it at 0, and you can see 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 4. And then those are the ones that I get to make larger, and I get to have control. And I still have managed to use the data that was coming from that tree before. And once again, I don't have to use that replace items here. We had the replace items here that I was replacing these items with this with these. What items did I end up? I ended up putting this one in, so it replaces all 3 of those, and you end up getting 1, 2. Let's just put it in color. 1, 2, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 22, 23. So we should have 23 items in the end. And we've got 25. So it has replaced all 3 of those. We've got 25, so 23, 24, 25. We actually have 3 spheres here. So that's a very interesting thing to think about. I'm going to bake it and watch what happens. We've got 3 spheres all over coincident. So that's a good way to start thinking about what are you doing to make, oh, I grabbed the wrong one there. But use your Rhino window to make it so you can actually see what's happening. I'm going to grab the second sphere, pull it over here, and I'm going to grab the third sphere and pull it over here. And there you go. So you actually have the 25, and you've had coincident bakes off of that. Very interesting to think about. So let's make those small again so they're gone. Let's get rid of all those bakes. So you have to follow your data. You have to follow and see what's there. The param viewer is gone, but you can see everything in the panel now. So what do we do now? We grabbed everything in all the paths. Then I took all those paths, and the indices said you're going to ignore 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as the indices of those paths. But there are 5 paths, so I'm going to take these, but I'm actually going to set the index on each of these paths, because a site is being generated from these paths that's going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 items on it. So watch what happens here. And I've actually taken out something, but look at this. This is kind of interesting. You see what's exactly happened. I've gained control, and this is pretty inefficient scripting, but you can see that I've got the 1. I could have gotten rid of 1 in row 1 in the first tree. I could have got rid of 0 in the first branch. And then I could get rid of 0 all the way up to 4 in that branch. And you can see how I'm just getting rid of it. And this becomes very interesting. And I still have this guy that's jumped over here. So we've got 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So we're going to 20, 21. And let's see what happens with that replace, because I think we're replacing all of these with that point. I think we're going to have 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I think we're still going to have 25 in here. Let's take a look. Yes, we do, and we're going to be baking those all in there. So these are things you have to prevent so you don't have happening. But it's really this replace sites, which is a very cool tool to think about how that's happening. Anyway, I hope people are kind of following along. I'm really just learning simply through this and wrapping my head around all of these wonderful components that are in here. So you're trying to get in here and understand all these. Whatever you do have trouble with it, bring in a node, right-click on it, go here, and make sure that when you pull up your data here, you're in the right section and you're reading along as many notes that are possible in here, because you will learn an awful lot through going up through here and thinking about, okay, what are sites? What are they going to mean to me? Site from paths, and then you should have an easy enough time kind of figuring out what that is. So the last one I did, I have the same tree. I took a path 0. I'm going to take this last item that I have here and jack up the radii so I can see it. It's kind of how I override things. You see I've got every single thing in here. We've got 25, so we've got this one replacing this one. Pretty simple, just a replacement of just a path from tree 0. And we can go all the way along here, but we're only dealing in the path from tree, this first one. We're only dealing with 0 through the path 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2. That's all we're keeping with this, so it's not very exciting to what we're replacing. Pretty simple, but it's nice to make things simple in the end. So all you do is you shrink that back down, go back up to the top, Follow your data all the way down, taking your first one, seeing what it is, everything your beginning branch. These are like the exercises I'm going to do for a while till I really wrap my head around these points. You get this one that's moving, I can jump down here to here, and I can bring out that, and you can see that I have everything with the one replaced, this one that's actually parametric, and I can change that sphere and put it in there. So your geometries can get more and more controlled, and you're really trying to understand every single thing within this site path from site trees, replace site, site from index, site offset, and site from paths. Because when you get those figured out, you're gonna have a pretty good understanding of what the path mapper was trying to get you to do, and it's only up to your creativity to see what happens. And I would not, because there's no intersect tools in here, try and get into heavy scripts or pull them out of Grasshopper 1 and put them in here, the Boolean union and Boolean difference. I would send them over the Rhino, do your bake, use your metas to bake, because you can go in here, you can say, okay, I'm going to assign a Rhino color to here, and whenever I bake this form over here, it's going to come out, and I'm going to have, oh, what's an input color? A color swatch, a raspberry. I'm going to put that in, so whenever I do a bake, as long as I'm in shaded, should be pretty good. I can do a little bake on here. Got to click the middle one. Bake, visible, raspberry. Did I get a raspberry on there? Oh, it's deciding what I want. Assign run up colors. I'm curious why I'm not able to bake. I must be in a command. Well, that's interesting. What am I doing wrong? I've assigned a color for Rhino. I'm in the meta tab. What am I forgetting? Assign color, which affects the object color or shape once baked. So maybe that's interesting that I'm not able. Well, what am I outputting? Oh, I'm just outputting paths. I'm such a fool. No, I'm outputting spheres. I have to bake here, and then I'm hoping those come up red, but I don't see any red. Let's go to render. No, maybe I should have baked here, and I'm not able to. Well, let me think about that. If I take those and make those, what I have to do is I have to put in a Rhino color, but just see what happens. As it's the same size, I can't bake out a sign Rhino color. You have to throw it back into the object it is. So if I bake out the sphere and it's going to go green, you can see that it's coincident. And you're like, well, what's going on? Well, they're all there, but you can see what happens is I ended up baking them, and there's still some objects that are bigger than that bake. So I got to bring down the radius on all the other forms, otherwise I can't see them. So as I bring them out and I shrink those ones, probably have to shrink these first ones as well that I set in. No, where are all those other ones? I just got to bring down everything else that was visualizing because I'm overriding what I'm doing. There we go. So those are the ones that are all baked, and they baked out in that color with that meta. Anyway, it's this is what it's like. It's like wrap your head around it, walk through it, understand your data, start using the sites, follow the paths, just move away from what you possibly were doing for a long time, dealing just in lifts and all these tools like punching and snipping. Well, these are new snip and sub, split lists. You probably remember. Those are great things for dealing with single lists, but you could actually jump in and do the same operations, which are just beautiful here, from paths and from sites. So jump into that meta, jump into that tree, get these things activated, try and get down into this region and advance your skills as best you can. Kind of like the way that 28 or 26 tree components in Grasshopper 1, you ended up getting pretty good with masks or offsets or Path Mapper. But this one's nice because it doesn't bust your script like Path Mapper. When you go back into it, it kind of continues working. Something busted out of here at Cold by Sates because I just don't have a tree attached to it. Anyway, that's it. That's a long video, 14 minutes of me troubleshooting, but I think it's starting to stick. Keep your models simple, enjoy yourself, and thanks very much for watching.